Hi, my name is Heather Cail, and my purpose today is to make everyone aware that it should be mandatory that all of our schools have armed guards and metal detectors. I'm going to show you some slides right quick. Let me introduce my audience. I'm sorry. Tracy.
Hey.
Karen.
Hey.
Tom.
Hello.
All right. Some slides. Those ring a bell with everyone? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
As we know, this is one of many tragedies that we have sat back and watched happen in our schools as our children has these devastating and horrific events have happened in their lives. Does everyone agree that we should do something to protect our schools?
Yes.
Definitely.
I'm personally the parent of 2 school-aged children and a concerned citizen, and I've been doing research on this. Once we think of violence in our schools, we probably first think of mass shootings. But there are a lot of violence in our schools every day. In 2010, the Bureau of Justice stated that over 828,000 students were affected by non-fatal crimes that year. They also surveyed high school students, and 17% of those interviewed stated they had carried a gun to school within the last 30 days. And those numbers are absolutely staggering. It also, stats show that it takes police officers about 15 minutes to arrive on the scene after 911 is called. We know that this is way too long when lives are at risk. First, I want to discuss how having armed guards and metal detectors would greatly secure our schools. They will be available not only for the mass shootings, but also the day-to-day crimes that occur in our schools. Wayne LaPierre, Vice President of the NRA, said that the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And many people may be against guns, but truthfully, if there were a mass shooting in a school or anywhere, how else would you stop them? Having metal detectors at entrances with armed guards at the side is the answer. This would prevent knives, guns, and bombs from entering the schools. James Shaw of the Resistant Attack Foundation said that metal detectors would screen out the tools of violence prior to entering the schools. Obviously, prevention is always going to be the best answer if possible. I think we can only imagine how many guns, and especially knives, may be entering our schools daily. Imagine how much of a safer place it would be if we could prevent those weapons from ever entering the building. Second, now that we know that armed guards and metal detectors would provide excellent protection, I want to explain how using retired or disabled veterans would be ideal. They are already professionally trained. Most already own their own weapon. It would also help with job placement in our community. We all know that we need help with job placement. John Spencer of the Spencer Magnet said that we have thousands of unemployed veterans that have risked their lives to defend our country, and they would gladly do the same to protect our children. Hiring retired or disabled vets would be more cost efficient than hiring police officers. Eric Ovenson, a veteran of Fort Collins, said that we could hire 2 to 3 vets in the price of 1 police officer. Now that we have discussed having retired or disabled veterans as armed guards, that is the answer to keeping our schools safe. I'm going to discuss 2 other popular ideas that have been proposed. Arming our school staff. This could be teachers, they have even said ancillary staff, cafeteria workers, anyone. Prior to my research for the speech, this was the idea that I was leaning toward. But I quickly changed my mind after learning the facts. According to the National School Safety and Security Services, teachers or other school staff would have to receive professional training. This may be a timely process. We really don't have time on our side right now. Schools would also have to provide the guns. This would be a costly measure which we cannot afford. It has also been asked, could teachers take action against known students? This would also be too easy for students to gain access to the guns, which we know could also end tragically. This will be a huge liability for our school system. The other popular idea is installing safe rooms in the schools. I don't see how this would be the most cost-effective or efficient way to protect our schools. What are the chances that all students would be close enough to one of the safety rooms in the event something happened? I also don't see how this would protect from the day-to-day violence in schools. Some schools in Tennessee have already initiated this. It costs about $405,000 for each safe room. This is very costly, especially with school budgets being cut often. Our schools also lack space as it is. This would also be a very timely measure. As we've seen, having retired or disabled veterans as armed guards and metal detectors should be mandatory in all schools. It is the most effective and cost-efficient route to protect our schools. It will also help with job placement in our community. It is our responsibility as concerned citizens to push for our kids to be protected while they're trying to earn an education. Thank you.